grade 9s. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this video. Welcome to your grade 9 geography work that I'm going to be discussing. We are starting with the new work that has been posted on the D6. If you haven't had a look at it, please make sure that you look at the work. It is for week 1, which will stretch from the 16th of April to the 23rd of April, and it covers development. Development is a easier section that we are going to look at, and it is very practical because it's happening all around us all the time. So we are first going to look at the definition of development. What is development? Development is how countries, regions, settlements change, progress, and improve over time. So obviously development is a process, meaning it is constantly happening. So it is basically relying off certain things, and it helps to improve the quality of life. So it is a process that is constantly happening. Another definition of development that we can look at, it is referring to how a country is organized. If it is well organized, it will help people to be self-supporting and productive. When you are productive, you feel a sense of happiness. You feel a sense of purpose. And also when you are productive in your space and in your country, you can support yourself. When I say support yourself, I'm referring to being able to give your family a good life, give your family a meal on their plates at night, or giving your kids a warm bed to sleep in. So development is a process that is constantly happening, and it improves people's lives. It helps them to feel productive, and they can support themselves. It has to do with things such as money, meaning, do you have a stable job that has a stable income so that you can support your family? Is there proper health care available in your country? Do you have access to hospitals? And are there enough health facilities to accommodate all the people in your country? And then, as I mentioned here before, is good development in a country contributes to people's happiness. So people will feel happy if they do have all their basic needs available. And then we can look at the state of the environment. So when I talk about state of the environment, I'm referring to things such as, do we have roads that we can access our place of work? Do we have roads to go to our nearest grocery store in order to get food and groceries for our families? What it also involves is, do you have buildings like shopping malls so you can go and buy some clothes? Do you have basic grocery stores that are in a good condition? Do we have road signs? That is all contributing to the state of the environment. Another important thing to look at when we look at the state of the environment is the amount of pollution that can be found in that area. So we need to look at money, health, the happiness of people, and the state of the environment. All of this will contribute to good development in a country. Okay, and who or what is responsible for development? Now guys, this may come as a shock to you, but you and me, we are responsible for development of our country. Whether you are young or whether you are older, development can happen through all of us. Ways that you can contribute to the development of a country, guys, is the state of the environment. What are you putting in as an individual to contribute to the state of the environment? Things such as pollution. Are you contributing heavily to pollution? And then people that are older, like your parents or your teachers, will take care of things such as the money. You need money to have good medical care. You need money to provide basic needs so that people can feel happy. So we are all contributing to development. It is all up to us to make development happen. And there's obviously a lot of other factors that relies on it. Okay, so developing is working when people can be productive and self-supporting in their own country. Can I support my family well? Am I feeling productive, like I have a purpose and I'm contributing to life, to our economy, and so forth? It improves people's quality of life. Now, on your slides, they asked you to discuss what you think is a good quality of life. So we can look at things such as, you might saying having a cell phone contributes to a good quality of life. Having enough data. Having your favorite snacks available. Having things such as a house and a bed. Having things such as a card so you can get to school. Having education freely available to you because your parents can pay for it. And the only reason your parents can pay for your education is because they have jobs and they earn enough money so they can pay. A good quality of life means you have free access to your family and to your friends. You can build relationships with people. And whatever you want to add on to what is a good quality of life, you can add on to your activity that you need to do. So obviously we all see a good quality of life differently. To me, it means that I can feed my children, that I have a house to live in, that I have a job to go to, that I have enough food at home, that I have my family and my friends, and we all will have a different perspective of what a good quality of life is based on what we used to and the life we are currently living. So to have a good life, according to the law, says we just need our basic needs. We need clean water, we need shelter, we need clothing, and we need food. Now, if you think of South Africa and Africa in this regard, there are a lot of people that don't have their basic needs available, which is the problem. And that's why they often give South Africa or countries in Africa a low development score, meaning that we are a lower developed country because not all our people have clean water, shelter, good clothing, and food freely available for them. So often they give South Africa or countries in Africa a lower development score. And we will look at these scores later on. But these things allow us to survive. And that is why also we have a high death rate at a young age in South Africa, or in African countries even more, is because our people don't have their basic needs available, so they can't survive well. So they often have health issues and so on. And then what contributes to the health issues is in African countries, they don't have access to hospitals or to doctors. They don't have the access to it. Okay, but when we do look at the development, there's 3 pillars that makes it work. I'm going to draw the 3 pillars over here. And these pillars will basically hold a country. Let's call this South Africa. The 3 pillars will keep a country strong and keep it going. So it's important to look after each one of these pillars, because if one pillar disappears, okay, you can see the country will tumble to the side. So it's important that we take care of all 3 the pillars that I'm going to mention now in order for a country to work well. So when a country wants to improve the quality of life of their people, they need to focus on 3 categories. These categories are social, economic, and environmental. Now, when we look at the social aspect of the development, it is everything to do with people and helping other people. People and helping other people. So that is why we need to be compassionate. People helping other people can be something like healthcare. It is simply building relationships with those around us. Then we can look at something like the economic pillar, and that is everything to do with money and employment. So obviously, to have money, you need to be employed. If you can't find a job but you are well qualified, that is a problem. So money and employment. In order to have food on your table, you need money. In order to have good health care, you need money. So everything basically relies off money, okay? But the social aspect also contributes a bit more to the psychological and the emotional well-being of the people. Then when we look at environmental, it is everything to do with what surrounds us and what keeps us happy and safe. Now this is where I'm referring, my highlighting is very good. This is where I'm referring to good roads so we can arrive safely at our place of work, or what surrounds us. Beautiful gardens, trees, things that gives us oxygen. Do we have a safe environment to live in, or is there a lot of pollution around you so that actually makes you sick? All these pillars are equally important, guys. Therefore, all these pillars need to be improved. If we don't improve all the pillars, our building, which is our country, according to our drawing over here, will collapse. So it is important that we look at each one of these pillars, and there's certain indicators that we're going to look at later on, and it's mentioned in your book. Indicators under each one of these pillars, how we can evaluate how strong a pillar is. Basically, let's look at the economic pillar. Do we have enough jobs available for the amount of people in our country? Or do we have enough stable jobs? Things like the UIF, which is a fund that pays the unemployed. So does the UIF function well enough to support its people? Do people pay tax? All of that will contribute to the economic pillar of our country. For example, guys, we need to look after all of these pillars. So if a person has food and clean water, but no stable job or form of income, so they can't afford shelter for themselves, meaning they've got clean water, food, no shelter, and the other basic need was clothing. So they can't afford shelter, they can't afford clothing, and eventually this can't afford food will also fall away. So it's important to uphold all 3 of these pillars mentioned above. In our next lesson, we will discuss the ways in which we can measure development. Now, we measure development using things called indicators, and we will look more at those indicators in our next lesson. And in preparation for our next lesson, you can go and have a look in your book and find the indicators in your book. Also mentioned on your slides, guys, is important words that you need to know. So these important words will help you to understand the development section much better. Economic, we've said that it has all to do with money and employment. Social is everything that has to do with the communities and their welfare. So are people happy? Do they have relationships? And so on. Environmental is what surrounds us. A lot of pollution. This is meant to be a tree. What surrounds us in our environment. Then we have welfare. Welfare has to do with the health, comfort, and happiness. So look at your own life and you can evaluate your level of welfare. When we look at economic indicators, it shows us information about money and income in the country. And then we're going to look at things such as the GDP and the GDP per capita. GDP is the gross domestic product. Okay, so the gross domestic product is the value of goods and services produced in a country in 1 year. The GDP per capita is the GDP per person, meaning take the total GDP and divide it by the population. So your GDP is everything, the value of everything that is produced in a country. Then things such as currency is the money unit that a country uses. In our case, it's the rand. So the GDP and GDP per capita will fall under economic indicators. Things such as life expectancy, infant mortality rate, and literacy rate, these will all fall under social indicators. Okay, and you can go and look up what the life expectancy, what infant mortality rate, and what literacy rate, what those concepts, the definitions of those concepts, you can go look up in your books. And we will look at the environmental indicators, which is basically, it shows the impact that human activity has on the environment. So our jobs, working, traveling to work, how does that impact the environment? So in our next lesson, we will go through a bit more detail on the indicators and how we can measure development. I hope this helped you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you in lesson 2. I meant to write, have a great day, guys.